Good day, Andrew. Good day, Natalie and Nathan. Good day, Lydia and Mason. How are you today? Today we're looking at this particular picture. It is called Blue Horses. It's painted by Franz Marc. All right, and Franz Marc looked like this. He didn't live very old. He was about 36 or something like that. I don't know, in his 30s somewhere, I believe, when he passed away. But he liked to paint lots of different colors. And in this particular picture, there is tons and tons and tons of colors. Okay, he is, this is called Blue Horses because you can see here the horses. How many horses do we have? Let's move this out of the way. 1, 2, 3 horses are going on right here, and they are blue. The words we're going to remember are color. What does color mean? Do you remember? Yes, color is the reflection of light off of an object. That is what color means. All right, very good. Okay, so when we're talking about art of any kind, we sometimes use a color wheel, and the color wheel helps us as we compare our colors, okay? And remember the primary colors, we've talked about them, yellow, red, and blue. Very good. And the secondary colors are orange and green and purple. So what colors do we see in this particular picture? Do we see secondary colors? Is there orange? I see orange here. How about green? There and there and there. How about purple? In the blue horses, I see some purple. Now, how about the primary colors? Yellow, yes, yellow. Red, there's some red over here. Blue, well, they're blue horses. So between the blue and the purple, there you go. You have all of those colors. Now, last time we introduced the words warm colors and cool colors. And as you can see on the color wheel, one half of it is warm, yellow, orange, red, and some purples. The other half is cool colors, which were green, blue, and some purple. So we have the warm colors and the cool colors. Now, this picture here of the Blue Horses by Franz Marc, what do you think they are? Warm or cool colors? Well, say there's a little of both. Right. The background is the warm colors. What we see going on back here is all the warm colors. And cool colors are in the foreground. And that's very, very common way that people will use warm and cool colors. Now, another word we've used, it's been a little while, is organic shapes. And an organic shape is one that doesn't have a line, but it's just more of a circle or a shape that goes like, there's no distinction as far as the lines go. And what you see Franz Marc doing in this picture is using a lot of organic shapes. Someone else who used a lot of organic shapes is named George O'Keeffe. And this is a book that I have read, and you can look for it on the teacher's resources or in the books that I've read. And we're going to be doing something today that's sort of copying her work. This is what Georgia O'Keeffe looks like there. She lived out in New Mexico, and she's painting a pretty big picture right there. And we are going to be looking or copying some of her work. She liked to make things big. Okay, that's the way she liked to do it. And so we're going to be doing something big too. This is a big flower. And I did it this way, but it really doesn't matter which direction it goes. Okay, so we're going to be making a big flower like this. And a couple of things that we want to remember. We're going to use a couple of different medium. What's medium? Well, watercolor is a medium. We're going to use watercolor. We're using watercolor in the background, just like the other picture that we had talked about. The background is what's behind the flower, and that's what I used my watercolor in. We're going to have a palette of a couple of different colors, okay? My palette with this particular one was brown, yellow, orange, and blue. So my palette for my picture that I'm going to do next is going to be, are you ready for this? Pink and brown and yellow. And I'm going to use, whoops, that's not a yellow, it's a pink. And yellow, and those are the colors I'm going to use for the flower itself. And I am going to use the watercolor. This palette has lots of colors in it. The watercolor green for my background on this next one, because I'm showing you that you don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing it. You can do it your own way, but you have to choose a palette. What color are the flowers petals going to be? Mine are going to be pink. What color is the background going to be? Mine is going to be blue. All right, so now a couple of other words. The brushes. Remember, we've talked about brushes a little bit, but let's just remind ourselves about a brush. A brush has 3 different parts. You have the bristles, the ferrule, and then the handle. And we don't like to touch this part because we don't have as much control. And if we do, well, we can get our fingers messy. So we've been calling it the danger zone, and so we're going to continue to call it that. So we're going to need to have a brush too when we're with what we're doing. And we're going to use or think about the word size. This is a big dog and those are little dogs. And Georgia O'Keeffe liked to color or paint things big. So see her here next to this big flower right there. And so we are going to be doing a big flower too, which means we're going to go to the very edges of the paper, okay? So how are we going to do this? Well, let's get a new piece of paper, and we're going to start with our pencil, because we need a pencil, we're going to need a marker, we're going to need to have I've got 4 different pinks just to make sure I have enough. But we start with this, and what we're going to do is right in the middle of the page, put your finger there, draw a small circle, not too big, just a small circle. Now, if you remember on mine right here, I have 2 different circles there. So let's draw another circle inside it, and that's just going to help us to think more about the fact that it's a flower. Now we have to do those petals. So the petals are going to be interesting. You start here and you go all the way to the edge of your paper and come on back. Now notice I went over the edge of my paper right here. That's okay. Put another piece of paper like this manila envelope, manila file folder underneath your thing so that you can go over the edges. And that way, as you go over the edges, you will make sure you have your leaf right there, but when you pick it up, it's going to just be sort of in our imagination. All right, so let's go all the way to the edge. I'm going to come back and do it this way. All right, we want to make very little space between our petals, okay? Not a whole lot. Now that one there, I didn't go over the edge. I kept it inside, and I think I'll keep this one inside too. But I'm going to go over the edge on this one, and I'm going to go over the edge on this one. Now look at this one here. I'm making that one a funny shape, okay? And that one's going to go over the edge, and I'm going to keep this one inside the paper but going to the edge, because we want to cover the whole piece of paper up, the whole thing. And there's going to be very, very, very little space in between. All right, so now comes the interesting part, like I like to do. Get a marker. This is one of IKEA's markers, by the way, but you can use whatever marker you want to. Start here in the center and do your 2 circles, and then just follow the lines that you did. Now, one of the nice things about following lines is as you go through and you say, oh, I really don't like that line, I wish it would be a little closer to that, then you could do that. You can make it, change it up just a little bit. you don't have to erase it in order to do that. You can just draw it a little different. See, like I went over that one. So now, oh man, that one's much different than what I started with. But that's fine. That's the way it is. It's one of those beautiful oops types things. You like it better this way than that way? Okay, we'll do it better this way than that way. That's called art. That one's going over the edge. All right. So I just got a couple more here to do, and then we'll do our watercolor. Now, I am going to be doing marker for the petals and watercolor for the background. If you just want to do watercolor really, really bad, go ahead and do them for the petals too. It doesn't matter. But we just want to use the palette in the way that we discussed. All right, so we're going to do a brown for the inside right there. And that's the only part that's going to be brown. And then we're going to do the yellow for this part here. Now, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to erase my lines. Very important part after you've done the drawing of it and then you've gone over it again in marker is to erase the lines, because you don't want them to be there on the finished project. They were just there to help you to go in the right direction. All right, so let's just erase lines. It doesn't take long to erase lines, and all of that shavings of the eraser are sort of fun to blow off when you're all through. So we'll just erase all of these lines up. I just hit the camera and you jiggled a little. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. You can do it a little bit better than that. That'll be fine. There we go. All right. You know, my perfectionism has to do that one a little bit better, and over there a little bit better. All right. So now what we're going to do is the watercolor. So we need to have a little bit of water. Okay. And we need our brush. Remember, bristles, ferrule, the handle, we don't want to touch the ferrule part. That is a danger zone. Okay, a little bit of water. Remember how we use watercolor? You have to wake it up. Wake. And you just move your brush around in it a little bit. We don't want too much water. We just want a little. And so we're going to put that all in the background. So I'm going over just a little bit. I'm not trying to, but I have. That's okay, because when we go back over it with the pink, it's going to take it all in. All right, now I need a little bit more green. Here we go. You see how the background is making the petals pop out? So that's why you have backgrounds in pictures. It just makes the foreground pop out. We'll study those words a little bit later, but I'm just using them right now so they go into your mind. Foreground and background. A little bit more water because it's getting dry. All right. There we go. Just a little bit more here and we will have this part done. All right. It almost looks cool without painting the inside. But I'm going to show you a trick with that too. We don't want to take a very long time here of your time because I know you want to get started. Rinse my brush out there. I'm going to just put that aside. And now it's a little bit wet, but I'm not going to be using my marker on the background. It's going to be just on the foreground, on the petals. So it doesn't matter that that it's still wet when I'm starting. So here we go. What I'm trying to do is not to have any white in the petal, okay? I don't want to have white if I can help it. That makes it a little bit difficult, I know, because there's always a little bit of white. Now I've got 4 pinks because I'm going to give my pinks a little bit of break in between. When you do all of this coloring with a marker, especially if you've had them around for a little while, they sometimes get a little bit dry and say, why are you using me and this much? So I'm just going to go back and forth between 4 different markers and give them all an opportunity to color in for me. And you notice that I can't get all of the white out, and it looks like I've colored it. But that's okay. You see what it's doing is it's giving it a texture. Okay? We've talked about that a little bit before, where a marker that's had some use and is a little bit dry can give a little bit of texture to something, and that's what this is doing. It's making it so it doesn't look like it's just been colored in with a marker, but maybe it's a real flower petal. Okay, so we've gone through quite some time, and I'm not going to finish this one right here on camera, but I'm going to show you my next little trick after I get this one petal done. And then I will show you the end result at the end of the video. Okay, get yourself some water and go over top of what you've done in pink. Don't go on the black too much. You probably will a little bit. That's okay. But if you go over top of it, you say, why? Because it is moving that ink around a little bit, just enough so that it's not really white on the background of the petal. It's more of a lighter pink. Okay, can you see? I don't know if you can tell or not, but you go ahead and try it, and if you have some that are more water soluble, it will just melt it all together. All right, so that's our lesson for today. I will show you the finished product in a clip at the end. Thanks so much.